Hey, welcome back everybody to another amazing edition of the Renatus InvestEdge. My name is Jay Stark. It's my honor and my privilege to welcome you to the call today. I want to extend a very special welcome to those of you that are here for the very first time. And that's about all I'm going to say. I'm going to get right into it here. Our host and our host for the remainder of the call, though, is an individual that I want to introduce to you. He's somebody that has more than 38 years of experience in business. He's been on the top of just dozens of corporations that have collectively grossed hundreds of millions of dollars. He has trained and impacted tens of thousands of lives across the world, and I can personally attest that he has impacted my life and the lives of my children. He has changed the trajectory of my family through the influence and through the good that he does in the world. It's been my pleasure to work for him for more than 14 years now, and truly, it's been a masterclass for me in being able to watch somebody who ethically and morally guides the ship in business. He considers first every single decision we make. He considers first how it's going to impact the customer. He is always concerned about under-promising and over-delivering in every little thing that we do. And you're going to get to meet him today, maybe for the very first time, but you're definitely going to get to see that in action today as he hosts the remainder of our call. So join me in welcoming out to our call the founder, the visionary, the CEO of Renatus, Mr. Bob Snyder.
Jay, I can't thank you enough for the great introduction, man. It's so great working with you. And for 14 years, 14 years, we've been doing some amazing things, and we've created, thousands of success stories all across the country. And, that's what this podcast is all about. It's the ability for us to basically invite some of our students, our instructors, different individuals from our community onto the call so they can talk about the deals they're doing and the things that they're making happen right now. And as I can see on the screen, it's hitting you up saying, hey, listen, if you like what you see here, then subscribe, hit the thumbs up, like us, love us, all those wonderful things. Why? Because that way you can get notifications for when the next episode of Renatus InvestEdge is coming out, so that you be in the know. Anyway, we've got a fantastic show planned for him today, and I'm really excited about the individual that we're going to be bringing out in just a moment here, because he's a person that we've come to grow and love inside of our community. He started out as a student. I'm not going to steal his thunder because he's going to share with you some of his own backstory and some of the things that are going on. But this is an individual from one of the thriving metropolises up there in the great state of Idaho, who has been able to take the strategies and the systems that we've implemented in Renatus and apply those to his own business. He's going to share with you how he did that, some of the cool things that are taking place. Also going to talk about some of the mindset that's required around real estate investing and how critically important that is to getting deals done. So hang on to your seats, take some copious notes, because this is going to be a great session with one of our own, none other than Mr. Connor Mcintyre. So Connor, come on out here, my friend.
Thanks, Bob.
Hey, it's good to see you. I love to see that you are sporting you're wearing your colors right now, and I don't know about you, Jay, but I'm feeling some serious beard envy.
Seriously, that is a beard to be envious of. Look at that thing.
Thank you. Appreciate it. If I shaved it off, I'd look too young, and then nobody would believe anything I said.
If I shave mine on, I won't look any younger at all. So, Connor, it's so great to have you out here. It really is. And we're excited for the opportunity to, just kind of learn from some of your wisdoms, what you've experienced, what's going on in the real estate market. And I'm really curious to know some of the strategies that you've taken and are implementing to make Renatus viable for you.
Oh, yeah. Well, thank you. Yeah, Idaho is booming. It's they've actually said and came out that from Pocatello all the way up through Rexburg area is going to become a little Salt Lake Valley, just like how Provo is all the way up into Salt Lake. And that's going to happen over the next 10 years. And so I'm really excited about that. And
I bet you are.
So much opportunity here.
Hey, little fun fact for you, Connor. You're going to love this, because the New York Post put out an article just a little while ago, and they did some research to determine their top 10 million-dollar cities in the United States. Top $10 million cities. Those are the cities they're projecting by 2033, so that's just 8 years away, that will have a median home price of over $1 million. And Boise, Idaho was right there at the top of the list.
Yeah. That's awesome. Yeah, that's exciting for when you already have property, kind of scary if you don't. So everybody should get educated and get on it.
Or maybe that just means now is the time to get property if you don't.
Yeah, that does drive a little bit of urgency. I'll tell you what, when we went through the last, real raise of appreciation, I was grateful for all of my property because it made me a few $1,000,000 without having to do a dang thing for it.
There you go.
Yeah. No, I agree. And so, and that happened to me with COVID, same kind of thing. I got myself into a deal that could have went sideways, but because of the appreciation game, it went really well, and it continues to go well. And so, and my mindset's definitely changed through all of that, and what's been able to happen in our lives here.
So I'm curious. I know that you do a lot with raw land investing, but tell me more about the mindset shift that you've gone through.
Yeah, here, let me share my screen a little bit, and I'll kind of talk about that. Let's see. Is that working?
Yes.
I believe so.
Awesome.
We see words on the screen. That's a good sign.
That's a good sign. So investor mindset, starting real estate. So when I got started, obviously, is about 2020, but I really want to get into what is an investor? And so when you Google what's an investor, dictionary definition is a person or organization that puts money into financial plans, property, etc., with the expectation of achieving a profit. And so going through that, there's kind of two types of income when you think about it that we're taught, whether it's in the real estate space or any kind of investment space. You got your massive income, and I like to think of that of more of your operational. And so things that I'm doing. And when it comes to real estate, there's a few of those strategies that we do that can create massive income and are more of an operational business type of income in the real estate space, like fix and flips and rehabbing and developments, wholesaling, even property management companies. That's a way to make money that you're actually operational in the industry. I like to see this as more of you're trading your time for money in a lot of ways. And don't get me wrong, you can do fix and flips, developments, wholesaling, rehabbing without using your time, with leveraging other people's time to make those things happen. But I want to get it clear. For me, I've learned through this process that I'm not a fix and flipper. I'm not a rehabber. I'm an investor, and that's what I like to do. And so where do you spend your time making money? And so for me, I'll be very open and honest. I work in an industry that, in the automotive performance industry, that's extremely fun, and it really fits my drive. And when I say drive, it's something that I've learned from one of my really good mentors, Woody Woodward, and also Bob. And it helped me to really analyze who I am as a person and what I enjoy doing and where I want to put my time and my efforts. And in this industry I'm in, they pay me really well, which I'm grateful for, but I get to have a lot of fun, and it really meets my drive with what I'm doing. And so that's where I've really picked for me to make my massive income, and where I spend a lot of my time making money. But there's this other side of passive income that we're taught about. And in real estate, there's a lot of opportunity to make passive income, whether it's rentals, whether that's single family, multifamily, commercial rentals, or short-term rentals, whatever you want to do there. There's also land leasing, and notes and lease and lending on deals. And this is where you put money in, and over time, your money creates more money. And so where do you spend your money to make time? For me, that's in real estate. I'm an investor in real estate. My retirement plan is not a 401k. It's not in the stock market. Those things are just too volatile for me because I spend too much time in my industry of automotive performance industry to really pay attention to the stock market and all those changes that are happening constantly. And you can see it right now. People's 401k accounts and retirement accounts are getting hammered in the markets right now. And so are a lot of these investors who are just putting money in day trading or trading and not really knowing what they're doing or paying attention all the time, who miss one little news lib of notes, whether it's the tariff or all of a sudden just with Apple and these companies where they just came out and said that with the tariffs, it's not going to apply to big tech or to cell phones and stuff. And all of a sudden, Apple's shares just shot right back up. And so I'm sure there's a ton of people who made money on that, but some people who maybe sold off because they thought it was going to crash because of the tariffs. And so I don't have time to really focus on listening to that. So I like to put my money into things that I know, like real estate. And so when it really comes to investing, I think there's 4 mindsets or kind of types of investor. This is kind of if you ever seen the cash flow quadrants of an investor, a business, or an employee. This is kind of my mindset around the investor types. And so our first type is the move-in DIY investor. You do-it-yourselfer. Usually this takes 2, I've learned, This usually takes about 2 to 10 times longer than it normally should, and you usually end up spending more money than you expected because you're fixing a lot of your own personal mess ups that tend to happen, or buying all the tools that you needed when a contractor or someone you could have hired out already had those tools ready to go. The next one, over leveraged investors. They're doing 100% financing. Usually with that, you only have one exit strategy, and that's to sell, and sell quickly before you lose that profit margin to paying interest and over leverage to your investors, really, to your hard money lenders. So you really don't have very much margin for error or mistakes in your calculations when you're doing 100% finance deals. And then you have the all cash investor. Ideally, this is where everybody wants to be. Like, I would love to just take all cash and buy a property, except for that's extremely hard because you have to make massive income to have that cash to do. So you're really limited on your deal quantity that you can have. And then you have to really have the money. So those are your kind of your limitations and downsides. And then you have your number 4, you're educating the investor, the one who understands your debt equity blends, where you can do a 2/3 debt, 1/3 equity split. You can do partnerships, or you can find out and be very creative with your deal strategies. You're more versatile with your exit strategies that way, and you have higher bandwidth to be able to do more deals when you understand and are educated in creative acquisitions and things that I've been able to learn from those around me. So like I said, I went through kind of this is my first like deal where I did like a live DIY investment. So we bought our house as our first property, and I turned it into the basement into a duplex. And so I rented a skidster. I started digging. I definitely hit the house a couple times. Almost took out the master bedroom window, not knowing how to run that machine very well. And we got that done. And this whole process of just taking the window out, putting in a door, putting in a kitchen downstairs, redoing the floor, putting in some electrical for appliances down in that corner. This all took me and my wife a span, and getting my little brother to come work for free, and my stepdad coming to help out. Took about 7 or 8 months. And when I started to get educated and learned what I know now, I should have had this done in a month, and it would have cost me about the same as what I had into it with buying the tools and everything else. So that caused a huge mindset stave. And this is the property we bought during COVID, where appreciation really, we bought it for $255, and with appreciation now, without even calculating the improvements that we've made, our homes around us are now selling for up north of like $430. And so just in equity, we've been able to come away pretty good. But we've since turned it into a rental, made a lot of money off rental, did a short-term rental out of it, made money off that. It's just been a really good investment. However, going back, I would do this completely differently and make it way more profitable and be able to rent it out probably 6 months sooner than I did.
Hang on a second, Connor. Just go back to that. I just want to highlight one thing, because I'm so proud of you for taking the risk, diving in, making things happen. You're looking at it going, hey, this will be great. We can turn it into a duplex. We can have a rental property in the basement. That'll help offset our mortgage. That's all smart thinking. When you went into this project, you said it took 7 months, to finish. How long were you estimating that it would take for you to rehab that basement?
I honestly wasn't too sure. I thought it was going to be I didn't know. Honestly, I didn't really calculate it out. I was just excited to get into a property. I knew the market here in Rexburg was going to go crazy, and my wife didn't want to move like I did. She liked her job too much. So I was like, okay, we're getting into real estate now. And found this deal, and I thought it was going to take maybe 3-4 months. Gotcha. And did not
I'm also kind of curious about one thing. I mean, because listen, time is one of those things. It's a precious commodity that we can't get back. Having that experience, did you find yourself at moments feeling a little burned out? Because listen, you're working a full-time job, you're doing real estate investing on a part-time basis, so that means you're working evenings, weekends, holidays. At least I'm making that assumption. Is that kind of your schedule?
Yeah, evenings, holidays, weekends, and it was tough. I got burnt out really quick because I like to have fun, and I like to go do fun things, and this was not fun for me in really any way. So that being the case, you've obviously learned a valuable real estate and life lesson.
expand on that a little bit. Going forward in the future, would you ever do a do-it-yourself project again?
Oh no, I have the skill set. I know how to do it, but I can't, like, I don't have the time management skills, because if something pops up, if we're going sledding and it comes a predator, if we're going side by side and there's a nice day outside, like, we're going to the dunes, we're going to the mountains. I'm not pounding the hammer.
Attaboy, man. Attaboy. I just wanted to add a little emphasis to that. And the reason why is because what I've seen from so many individuals is they don't value their own time. You know, they don't put a number on that. I look at, what I earn from my real estate, from my businesses, and from everything else, and there is no way in the world I would ever strap on a tool belt and a hammer, because it's an inefficient use of my time. And it also limits your ability to go out there and find more deals, because you're working on the one that you're captive to. So, I just wanted to highlight that a little bit, Connor, and take people down your journey so that hopefully they can avoid that for themselves.
That's really funny, because that's where I think a lot of people start, though, in their mindset.
Yeah.
Is they're like, hey, I'm just going to move into it. I'm going to do the work. I'm going to bootstrap this thing from beginning to end. And they don't ever consider to themselves, hey, could I do this more effectively, efficiently, and even profitably? I mean, Connor, one of the things that you said is that it probably would have cost you the same amount of money to just hire somebody else to get it done, and they would have gone a lot quicker, and you would have had some sort of a warranty or a guarantee that the work was going to be done properly the first time. So, right. I mean, that's something that a lot of people, I think, can heed as a warning, that DIY is a great option, but it's not the only option.
But there's a time value associated to money. And what are you pulling on rents on your basement on that property?
This one, we had it rented out at $1,250 a month.
So that's $1,250.
Oh, wow.
So if you could have got a contractor in there to knock everything out, let's just say that instead of a month, which is what you estimated beforehand, it was 2 months. That means you would have saved 5 months that you could have been renting that out at $1,250 a month.
$6,000.
So that's $6,000 that would have gone into your pocket that otherwise didn't, because you wanted to do the work. And I'm not knocking that. I'm just trying to point out to everybody, listen, your time is worth something. Hire the experts, hire the professionals, put them to work for you, and that'll free you up so that you can go out there and find another deal and another deal and another deal.
That's a great reminder.
Yeah. And if you want to test your marriage, try this, because trying to live in something like this.
Okay, so now we didn't even get into talking about, marriage counseling, the expense that goes along with that, all the
ambient costs.
Yes, the emotional toll, the stress, the challenge.
Oh, man. and like you said, though, you've also got all of that other time when you wanted to be doing other things that you then couldn't, because you were now beholden to this second job.
Yep.
Yeah, hey, didn't mean to interrupt the flow, but I just definitely wanted to add some emphasis to that. So take it away, Connor.
Please cut me off anytime. I love having conversations with you guys about it. So that was mistake number one, or I guess it wasn't really a mistake, because we've made a lot of money off this deal, and we still have it today, and it will continue to stay. I just met with our accountant last week, and she's like, "Hey, what's the goal of this property? You're going to sell it? We're going to 1099?" It was like, "No, we're keeping this," because that's the one thing I've learned from every other investor who does fix and flips a lot. Especially one of my mentors, Kendall Stock, has said his biggest regret is not keeping all of his properties, or at least some of his properties. So this one's we're never letting go of this one.
Nice.
So my next trial and error was about 5 months after I finished the renovations on that. I found this deal up in St. Anthony. It was an area I didn't really know very well, and I ended up bringing in another partner as well, who also was new to the area and didn't know the area very well. But we were over leveraged on it big time. We did 100% seller financing. We used hard money, and then we pulled private money from other places. We bought it during COVID, kind of peak price, but it was the cheapest thing on the market at the time. It was $135. They did some renovations. We bought it, and we held it a little bit too long, and the market corrected. And so although we bought it for $135, we ended up selling for $169. With all of our hard money costs and over leverage like that, we actually lost a little bit of money because of that, making sure that we had our hard money lenders and our private lenders paid back. So that's something I've definitely learned from.
And I'm assuming that we're talking about the picture that's on the left side of the screen, and not the one that's on the right side of the screen, because the shanty on the right side of the screen could give people the wrong impression. I would definitely think you were over leveraged on that one.
For 135, yep. Location.
That's all together. So it actually had a second lot. Well, it was a pretty big lot, and that shop beside it was in even more space. So we actually knocked down that shop.
Okay.
And tore it all down. And then we could actually build on more units. The city already approved it. We had to have a shared wall. And that was kind of the plan, but we already over leveraged on it. And we just weren't ready to go into more debt and try to make it work, to try and build more units on there. And the market has already corrected. Plus, right at that time, it was 2021, 2022. And so construction costs were through the roof. Market kind of corrected and was slowing down a little bit near the end of 22 when we were going to do that. And so it just didn't make financial sense. So we just tried to get out of it.
Right on, man.
And on to the next one. I also did not want to do the work on that. And because I learned from my last one. So we didn't want to make those mistakes. But then I got educated. And I learned about my drive and what I like to do and how time is really money. And I learned about seller finance notes and saw where the market was going. And I learned like, hey, I do like fix and flips. However, I don't want to do the fix and flips. I'd rather fund them. And so I started doing that. I started putting my money to work, which I leveraged out of equity on some of my other properties, as well as stuff that we had, and started leveraging that to other people to make interest payments on, or they made interest payments to us on. And we just collected checks, and I got to go play and go snowmobiling and had all my fun with little work. And this one on the right-hand side was actually my best lending deal. We had some investors who had a decent track record. They're still kind of new. They were in about 4 deals, I think. And this was number 5 on their record. And I usually don't lend to really new investors. And so I was a little wishy-washy. They sent me the deal and they showed me what their past history was. And I was like, okay. They contacted me about 2 weeks before the deal was supposed to happen. And all they just needed gap funding. They just needed just under 30 grand. And they told me they only needed it for a month and they wanted it at 10%. And I was like, well, that's not enough margin for me. Like, I'm not making, that's like a freebie for you. And so I said, I wanted 4 points a month. And then if you go late over the 4 weeks, I want $100, an extra $100 on top of that for a late fee. And then it's $300 a week after that. So this one, promissory note was on deed, everything. And that 30 grand made me just over $1,500 in 5 weeks because they were a week late. So I got the $100 fee and an extra week of pay. So for 20 minutes of work, I made an extra $1,500. So that was awesome. And so I really got into the notes game. And then after the notes game, I really saw the correction really started to happen up here in Idaho, where people were buying properties and trying to fix and flip them, but they were getting stuck with them for 3, 4, 5, 6 months. Sometimes I know one guy who's stuck with it for over a year already trying to sell. And so I pulled my money from lending and started to really know what's going on here in Idaho and the growth that's happening. However, properties were a little bit steep for what I wanted to do right then with the market correction, was unsure. However, I knew land was going to be very important because if you look at statistics, even for 2024, we're about 3.8 million homes short in the USA for 2024. And so I really wanted to get into developments and start picking up land. And so I got educated and ended up buying some land. I bought 2 acres right on the edge of Rexburg. I'm 3 minutes down the road from a lot of stuff that's happening with developments. It also has a lot of trees. It's an old tree farm. And so ended up buying this 2 acres with a plan to actually build. There's a couple really big houses around. However, it's zoned for transitional agriculture. And so it can either become commercial, and that's one of the main highways 33 coming into Rexburg. So I can make this into the commercial property. I can make this into a residential if I wanted to. I can also put multiple buildings on that for residential. So I was actually going to do a bunch of tiny homes and make it into like an Airbnb little resort. However, I know the neighbors around there really well, and I knew they were going to pitch a fit if I did that. And I like those relationships. And so I have shied away from that. And we're leaning more towards turning it into a small tree farm for a little bit because I've already had people offer me trees. And then we're going to turn it into a big event center for weddings and places where people can come rent it to stay, but also have it be an event, like a place where they can hold their weddings or their receptions as well, with really good accommodations for that. And this is when I actually picked up on seller financing. And so it was one of those things I got educated and learned how to have those kinds of conversations. Went to the seller who I met through someone in the community and said, hey, I think this person might be trying to sell some land. I reached out to him, and we sat down and talked, and he was interested in seller financing. How much do you need down? And let him kind of speak, and used my skill set that I learned from you, Bob, in the negotiations class, and just asked him questions and shut my mouth and waited for him to give me the numbers. And so he said he needed 50 grand down and no less than more. I said, okay, I can make that happen. I had 30, and I knew how to find another 20. And then we got to the interest. I was like, well, how much do you want to make on interest? He's like, well, I don't really need the interest. I bought it on seller financing 10 years ago. It was 3%. I'll just give it to you for 3%. I was ready to pay 6.5%. And that was my negotiation, because at the time, interest rates were up around 8%. And so I agreed and said 3%. I should have asked the question, is that the best you can do? But I was just so excited that it locked it in for 3 years on seller financing. And so that's where my money goes. Like I said, I don't invest in stocks. My retirement plan is not a 401k. My retirement plan is real estate. And so instead of me putting money into a savings account every month, I make sure that I make this land payment, and this is my savings account every month. I bought this for $130, and since then, that was a year ago, there's been other land deals that are selling for 2-acre plots that are listed for over 3. There's some for over 2, but there's some who have been selling for around 225, 180 to 225. And so I think with the appreciation and everything, this is pretty unique with how close it is to the city. And also that it's the only lot that you can find that's 2 acres that has this many trees. Everything else is just barren farmland. And it has a well on it in this top left corner that's already there as well. And so I got kind of lucky with that. But yeah, so that's where I put my money.
Man, I think you did a fantastic job, Connor. Nicely done. I just got to make a comment about that, because I'll never forget meeting a very, very wealthy individual. As a matter of fact, I was staying at a little boutique hotel down in Newport Beach, California, and I got an opportunity to meet the owner, who also owned literally 2 city blocks. Now, he'd gotten into car dealerships and a whole lot of other things too, but, land baron, did very well for himself. And in my conversation, I said, how did you get into real estate? And he said, well, when I was a young man in New York City, he said, I had a mentor. He said, I'll never forget my mentor saying this. He said, son, go out there, you buy dirt, you hang on to it long enough, and it turns to gold. And Connor, you're already describing exactly that process. So congratulations to you.
Thanks. Yeah. And we were going to start development like this year, but I'm actually holding off because I want more land. This area is blowing up enough where I'm just picking up land. And so this was actually the next deal I went for. But this is one I actually walked away from. But this was my views. And it was owned by an out-of-state investor. And he had it priced really low for what he wanted. But I had to work with the agent, and the agent wouldn't give me my information that I needed. And so I actually had to stalk him on another app where I could figure out who owned the land, and then had to do some Google research to find him and call him. And this is it's 2 acres on the side of a hill. However, after doing a lot of due diligence, finding out this is a well. This is a well down in this bottom right corner. I should have put a circle on there. There's a little building in the bottom right and the bottom left. And those are both wells of the neighbors. And so the county will not let you put a septic on here because of the slope of how steep it is. And then there's 2 wells sitting at the bottom. And so they're worried about runoff into their wells. And I asked them, well, I know you're saying I can't, but how can I? And there really is no way to do it from their perspective, whether I dig up the side of the hill, which they really wouldn't give me any options. And so this is when I had to walk away, despite how pretty the view was and the location that I was really going for. But I'm still looking. I'm just looking for land and going, but you got to be willing to walk away, because I don't want to end up buying this piece of land and having my money tied up there to never actually have to be able to develop it or do anything with it, and just have it be a piece of land that just sits because of other people's wells. And so, yeah, that's kind of my mindset. Is my retirement plan is not a 401k. It's not in stock market. My retirement plan is in real estate, in real property, so land and rentals. my qualification are uniqueness. I like unique properties, location. Like, where's the location? Like I said, there's lots of lots out there right now in Rexburg, Idaho, where it's just barren land. There's lots of fields that are turning into developments, and just lots going off for sale in a lot of different areas. I'm not super interested in a lot of those because most of them have HOAs, which I don't like, and most of them are just barren land. And so there's nothing really unique. I can find those all over the place. And so that's not something I'm going to bank on with my investment. I want something unique, and I want something in a good location.
Right on. That's excellent, Connor. Nicely done, man. You know what? I'll tell you, it just warms my heart to be able to see how you've taken the education, taken the pointers you're getting from folks in the community, and have applied that, and they're out there building it. I am curious about something. You've told me before, Connor, but I've forgotten. How old are you now?
I just turned 30.
30.
Yep.
Buddy, I'm here to tell you, I can't wait to see, how your story unfolds over the next 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, because you're getting a head start that is absolutely fantastic. And anybody that's out there watching this needs to be thinking about, hey, 30 years old, look at the deals he's doing, but look at the knowledge he's gaining so that he can continue to repeat this over time. It's rare that you find somebody, that is really, before they get to about 50, that even seems to have any interest in retirement. But you've spoken about that numerous times throughout our conversation, and that impresses me. You're forward thinking.
Thank you.
So
yeah, it's been fun. I mean, I bought that first house when I was 25, me and my wife, and every single year we've done more and more deals, and so it's been really cool to see how, we haven't acquired property because there was that time in COVID when we didn't acquire properties, but we did 4 or 5 note deals in a year.
Yeah.
And so it's been fun.
I'm kind of curious, how has your example actually prompted other individuals, other friends or family members of yours to get in the game? Has that happened?
Oh yeah, it's been really cool to see. There's been a few really close. Well, one of them wasn't friends. We'll start with Seth. So Seth is, I actually went to go buy Seth threeplex from him, and found out his situation because he was the bank was telling me he had to sell his threeplex, and he wanted to buy a 20-acre farm that had a lot of potential for development and splitting off stuff. And he was hung on that deal for 8 months into it. And I went and sit down and buy his threeplex, and then I was like, oh, wait, you're not going to sell this. I'm going to introduce you to a friend of mine, and I'm going to tell you what I know, but I know you're not going to listen to me because we're just buddies. So I'm going to bring Kendall with me, and we're going to talk you through of how you're going to buy this other property and I'm not going to buy your threeplex. You're going to keep this threeplex and buy this 20-acre farm all at the same time. Because if I take this from you, I'm going to feel bad and guilty because I know you could have kept it. And so he ended up keeping that threeplex, bought his 20-acre farm 2 weeks later, and then 2 weeks after that bought another threeplex with the knowledge he's acquired. And since then, he's been doing multiple fix and flip deals. He's one of the ones I lended on to. And then he's been doing development projects down in Florida. He's got like 6 or 7 lots they're developing. And yeah, he's killing it. It's been really cool to see his growth in that. But one of the most unique ones is definitely Myra and Jace. They when I introduced Myra's brother, and Myra's little brother came and brought her to our community, and she was super excited, and then brought her husband Jace, and he was not having it, didn't want anything to do with real estate, thought it was all a scam, didn't think that was really possible. And here we are 2 years later, and they're on their third deal. They have 2 rentals that they picked up. They had a house they were going to sell, ended up not selling it, turning it into a rental, bought another house on a discount, renovated the whole thing, and just got that as a rental. And their tenants, this was just recent, like I think 3 weeks ago or a month ago, they had it listed, and they had family chirping in their ear and friends saying, you have that listed way too high. No one's going to rent that. No one's going to pay that for rent. And then they had a guy out of Montana who sold his house, came and paid them 1 year up front in cash for a year's worth of rent. So they got $35,000 back in their pocket to rent out that place for the year, which is crazy. And then right from that deal, they bought a fix and flip from a foreclosed property that was just down the street from this rental they were renovating that they found out from the neighbor. The guy was going into foreclosure, and they were able to help this guy who's missed about 3 months of payments, not going to foreclosure, but was able to actually get it on seller on taking over the payments. So subject to the existing mortgage, and we're able to help this guy get into a new place, a new location. He's an old guy who's retired. And also on him with an equity split in the deal. So whatever they make on the deal, this guy's also getting a percentage. So they're able to help this guy out, get out of a really tough financial situation and help change his life with real estate as well as their own. And their profit margins based off of their estimates on everything, they're going to probably make close to about $60,000 to $65,000 from profit on that. And that guy's going to get a small chunk of that or whatever their negotiations. I'm not totally sure on the specifics. But they're also doing all the work. And so it's been really cool to see them grow over the last 2 years to get into all these different deals and change their life.
I'll bet it is. So have you found that not only is your investing, I mean, it's one thing for you to do this for you and your family, but now to be able to influence others and to see their growth, how does that make you feel?
Oh, so good. It's really cool to be able to just be a small piece in someone's story. It's nothing serious that I didn't do anything massive or big. All I did was open my mouth and share what I knew and said that they could do it too.
Well, good for you, man. I'm proud of you. Congratulations, Connor. I know we've probably got some questions and stuff, don't we?
I'm really curious, and just for everybody online, we're going to open this up for questions. So if you've got a question that you would love for Connor to address, to get some of his input, his perspective on, go ahead and drop it in the chat right now. But Connor, I'm kind of curious, how long did it take you from the time that you got started with Renatus until you got your first deal?
So that house I bought in April, and then there was Renatus in 2020, like in January 2021 is when I introduced. So I made a bunch of mistakes before that, and then learned that I do that totally differently. But from when I got into Renatus to my second deal, it was 4 months, 4.5 months.
4 months. And how many deals have you done since then? Just ballpark it, if you don't know exactly.
7.
7. So that's,
yeah.
I'm trying to think, for those of people that are online that have maybe are thinking about getting into real estate and think maybe there's some of the same thoughts that, was his name Jace? Was that his name? The other guy.
Myra.
Say it again.
Yeah, Jace and Myra.
Jace, yeah, where he thinks, oh man, this is maybe too good to be true, or real estate's not for me. It's too complicated. I don't have the money. I don't have the knowledge. What kind of a difference would 7 deals make in your life over the span of a few years? If every single deal is bringing in a little bit of money, but giving you a ton of experience and then creating connections for you beyond that, how much would that be worth to you? So Connor, let me ask you this question. And I love that we asked this question at the national conference for everybody that walked across the stage during that real estate walk of fame. But from your perspective, was your investment in Renatus worth it?
Oh, 100%. Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, my investment in Renatus has made me literally 12x what I invested.
Awesome. That's awesome. All right. So we do have a question here from Spencer Clark. He said, hey, being better educated, how have you been able to go and find the land deal and other deals?
Yeah. Being educated, how I've been able to do it. I look online. And I look at like Zillow and these places, but really it's just asking around people locally of like, hey, do you know anybody looking like who's maybe selling land or try to find something off market? Or a lot of them I actually do find on market, but then I usually backdoor the realtors. Sorry, I know there's probably a few realtors on here. I'm just not a fan of trying to go through one of those because they won't negotiate for me how I want. And so I usually will pull up on some other websites or like the GI system for a county and figure out who owns that piece of property and then try to find their contact info so I can contact them directly and then see if they're open to a conversation for a creative financing of some sort and just try to get to know their story. That's been a huge help. That's how I was able to pick up our land. That's how I was able to pick up the one house that we ended up over leveraging. But yeah, there's deals all around if you just open your mouth and look.
Awesome. Yeah. I love that. You can never overestimate the value of having a good network, So Deborah Brick said, good stuff shared. Thank you, Connor. Wow, an investor with heart and creative acquisitions. John Barlow says, you consider electric composting toilets and waterless urinals. Oh, he's going back to that deal that you passed on. Our entire state restricts specific septic tanks and cesspools to protect our aquifers. Must install retro septic systems or hook to sewer.
So yes, I did look into those. I even messaged, like, you all know Jason Andrus. He's a home inspector. He knows, he's been around everything. He's seen it all. And so I sent him stuff like, hey, would this actually work and be able to do this? And we had a chat about it. And I talked to the county about it too. And it would work. However, I would be, for the cost of land and then me trying to dig out the side of that mountain and building a retaining wall because of how steep it was, I would be into that thing like $500,000, which would eat up a lot of profit in the deal after actually building on it in that location. And so,
gotcha.
Yeah, there's potential there. It's just, it's still a deal. Like, I'm sure someone's out there, but it's not a long-term play for me. It is a long-term play. It's just not my long-term play. There's better properties out there. There's so much more land in this area that's available still. If it was Park City, yeah, I'd be all over it. But we're not quite to that level here. And maybe we will be in the next 15 years, but I'm just not ready to play that.
Well, it sounds like you're going to be a lot closer by the year 2033, right?
Sounds like, well, I mean, that's certainly for different metropolitan areas, but that also those kinds of appreciations generally sprawl
right
beyond the city, and kind of excited about the possibilities.
So Alvin asked this question. Great job, Connor. So proud of you. If you had an extra 20 hours each week in 2025, what's the next real estate strategy you'd focus on, and what's your long-term goal? Thanks.
Oh yeah, if I had an extra 20 hours a week, it'd be developments, and it'd be multifamily developments. Like, we're talking 8 to 10 units plus. I'd really like to get into that aspect, whether it's acquiring already multi-units like that or developing them. I like the development game. I don't like messing. I don't like redoing someone else's mess. I'd rather build it right the first time.
That's awesome. So how much experience do you have in development?
In development, not, I guess I've been I did framing like for 8 years, like through high school and then after high school a little bit. And so I've been parts of the development process that way. But I haven't done like a full from the ground up development yet.
So I'm curious. Without any like real experience in development, what gives you the courage? What gives you that confidence to be able to move forward into that space?
Oh, Renatus, the education. Yeah. I mean, there's a whole class on development, which I've watched. And so I'm already like I know I can do it if I had the time to do it. And the capital. I'm just not, I guess, as motivated, I would say, at this stage of my life to really commit that much to really focusing on development yet. Extra 20 hours a week would totally do that for me. I just don't have that 20 hours yet.
Gotcha.
But yeah, it's the community. I know people who have done developments through the community of Renatus, and I have access to the instructors. And so I'm not scared of doing it all. It's right just on. The time at the moment.
Right on. Well, it's funny, Deborah Brick just posted this in the comments, but I was thinking it as well, that we've got a class that's going to be getting created here in the next, I'm not sure if we know exactly when he's coming in studio. Do we know when he's coming in studio? Bill Predabon?
Yes, it's the middle. Well, you know what? I don't have the date. It's the middle of May.
May. So inside of like the next month, we're going to have another class coming out that is called From the Ground Up. And it's all about being able to take either an existing lot and deconstruct it, so tear down the existing property and rebuild it, or just get new zoning for it. It's going to be all about ADUs, which is the accessory dwelling unit, which is something that's really going to be big, especially in areas of that are, they don't want a lot of multifamily around, but will have a need for more property there because more people want to live there. But yeah, Deborah, that's a great suggestion. Bill Predabon's class is absolutely going to help you with that development and everything you're looking to accomplish.
That it will. And because you're out there in the rural areas too, you're going to want to tune into the new class that is right on the backside. So Bill is like on Thursday, and then Umair Hawk is on Friday, where he's going to be recording his new class on trailer parks.
Yeah, on mobile home parks.
And mobile home parks and all that stuff. And Connor, I'm sure that there's another strategy for you to capitalize on as well.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's definitely for sure. I've actually, one of our other students, Zach, he latched onto that at national conference, and that's really what he wants to do, because he's already done one mobile home flip. And we've talked about it a lot over the last little bit about doing little communities like that up here.
That's awesome. So Joseph asked this question: which profits classes help you expand your real estate business most effectively? That's interesting.
Oh, profits classes? Drive for sales, drive for development, and drive for communication. That's huge. Once you understand your drive, you can then really focus and hyper-focus on the avenues that speak to you. Without those classes, I didn't really understand how I operate. A fix and flip is going to take me 2 or 3 times as long, because I'm going to get distracted with fun things, and I'm going to take those fun things because that's my drive. Where something like notes and buying land and things like this, that I can do all those things. I go side by side on my land every weekend almost, just go check up on it.
And it's a write-off, right? Because you're just going to look at one of your investments.
Yeah.
I think that's fantastic. Hey, I've got just an intriguing question, something that's been on my mind since we started this conversation. It's probably been on yours as well. So, Connor, do you think your ability to negotiate these good deals is more because of that amazing beard or that boyish charm that you seem to carry with you?
That's funny. I saw that question going a different way in my head.
Probably did too.
I think the beard definitely helps quite a bit with my negotiations. I kind of see it like being really tall. I feel when really tall people are negotiating with you, you're just looking like and so with the beard, it's just that complex, But ultimately, it's honestly your class, the negotiations class. I can't imagine where I would be today without it. It's done so much for my life, in my career path that I've chosen, as well as my real estate. Without watching that negotiations class, and I've watched it probably 3 or 4 times, I would not be where I am.
That's awesome. So if you could go back and talk to yourself at the beginning of your entire time with Renatus, outside of the negotiations course, is there a course that you would recommend for people to start with, or one that would really benefit you or has benefited you?
Oh, all of them. That's so hard. Honestly, the number 2 class, I would say, it's really hard because tax and legal is so important. If you don't have a good foundation, nothing is really going to work, or it's going to become more of a mess. And so, but aside from that, straight class, creative acquisitions with Chris. Yeah, that is the go-to. I mean, if you really want to know how to get deals, you got to know your creative acquisitions, because in today's market, with how many bids are going up and deals and buyers that are out there, it's really hard to get an actual deal. You're bidding higher, you're paying market value, and you're going to have to come up with all that cash and really be a cash investor or become over leveraged because you had to pull money from all these other places, rather than doing something more creative.
Right. Have you already taken opportunity to view the new advanced creative acquisitions classes?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Once they came out, I was all over that.
Awesome. Well, Bob, I know that we've only got a few minutes left now. We're getting close to the top of the hour.
And we do. Connor, I just want to say thank you. I mean, it's so great to have a conversation with you and just to have you come out and share your perspective. You're doing a fantastic job. Really proud of you. And I know that it's just going to get better and better as time goes on. It's not only better for you and your wonderful wife and family, but to see how you've been able to share the message. It's almost a cause-driven kind of a situation, and I love that about you. So keep up the great work there. But, it's time for us to transition just a little bit. I've just got, really just 1 or 2 announcements and a couple things to make. The slide that you've got on your screen right now is for those individuals who are checking out Renatus InvestEdge. You want to be a real estate investor, or maybe you are a seasoned investor and you want to really polish things up and learn additional strategies and get involved with a network of real estate investors across the country. Well, that's what we're all about. if you want to schedule a free 15-minute consult with one of our real estate investing experts just to see whether or not there's something here that we may be able to assist you with, we'd love to offer that to you. You've got the information right on your screen there. You can go to the link or you can go to the QR code. But hey, book a call and let's have a conversation, see whether or not we could do some things together. The other side of it as well is that, we've got another one of our classes, the Deal of the Decade with Chris Albin, that is now updated and is in the Renatus back office. For all of our students out there, that's another class I hope you guys will dig into, because on a regular basis we're updating each of those classes. And this is Chris's class. This comes off of the theme that an early mentor of mine shared with me. I'll never forget. He said, Bob, the Deal of the Decade comes along about once a week when you know what you're looking for. And Chris Albin really expands on that in his class, so you don't want to miss that. And to the rest of you out there, hey, listen, here's the good news, man, is that there's plenty of opportunity out there. There really is. And if home is where the heart is, shouldn't your business be there too? Because we show individuals how to really start on a part-time basis and then over time get the education, the knowledge, and the confidence they need so that they can transition into full-time investing if that be their choice. We've got it all here. We'd love to have you be a part of it. And we're going to continue our discussion next Monday with another Renatus InvestEdge. We'll look forward to seeing you then. Until then, good day and God bless everybody.
But he's not off. Life's too tough. He can't catch a break. Get it done. Gotta get it done. Gotta get it done. Gotta get my game up.